The Conjuring. Last Rites is the final big chapter in the story of Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators. The movie mixes real history with supernatural fiction, just like the earlier films. This time, the Warrens, their daughter Judy, and a haunted family called the Smurls are at the center of the tale. At its heart, the story is about family love, faith, and the courage to face evil spirits. The film opens in 1964. Ed and Lorraine Warren are much younger, and Lorraine is pregnant with their first child. They are already involved in investigating paranormal cases, even though they are still learning and sometimes unsure of themselves. One day, they are called to look at a strange mirror in a small shop full of antiques. The shopkeeper says the mirror has a dark presence, and anyone who looks into it feels something watching them back. Lorraine, who has psychic gifts, touches the mirror and immediately sees terrifying images. She sees shadows, screaming faces, and feels the presence of a demon. Suddenly, she clutches her stomach and goes into labor right there. Lorraine is rushed to the hospital, but the birth goes horribly wrong. The baby is not breathing. Ed cries, thinking they have lost their child. Lorraine, however, holds on to her faith. She prays with all her strength, asking God to return her baby to life. Miraculously, the baby begins to breathe. This baby is Judy, their daughter. From that moment, Lorraine knows that Judy is special and that her life is somehow connected to both the light of God and the darkness of demons. The mirror is locked away, but it is not destroyed. This will come back later in the story. More than 20 years pass. The story jumps to 1986 in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. A kind and hardworking couple, Jack and Janet Smurl, move into a duplex house with Jack's elderly parents. They also bring their 4 daughters, Heather, Dawn, Karen, and Shannon. At first, the house seems perfect, big enough for the whole family and in a quiet neighborhood. As a housewarming gift, Heather receives an old mirror from a relative. She happily hangs it in her room. At first, nothing seems wrong. But soon, strange things start to happen. They hear whispers when nobody is there. Doors slam by themselves. Lights flicker. Dark shapes move across the walls. At night, the family feels cold spots and heavy pressure as if something is sitting on their chests. The Smurls try to ignore these events, thinking the house just needs repairs. But things quickly get worse. Objects fly across the room. The daughters wake up with scratches on their skin. Jack and Janet argue more and more because the stress of the haunting is breaking them down. The mirror seems to be the source, but no matter what they do, it keeps reappearing in the house. Even if they move it to the attic, it somehow ends up back on the wall. Meanwhile, the Warrens are now older. They still investigate hauntings, but Ed's health is fragile, especially his heart. Lorraine worries about him constantly. Their daughter Judy is now grown up in her early 20s and dating a young man named Tony Spera. Judy has always been close to her parents, but she also wants a normal life away from the shadows of demons and spirits. Unfortunately, Judy has inherited some of Lorraine's psychic abilities. She starts to have visions, many of them connected to the Smurl family. She sees the mirror, blood on the walls, and children screaming. These visions leave her frightened and confused. Lorraine realizes that Judy's gifts are growing stronger, and she worries that the same evil forces who have hunted her may now target her daughter. As the Smurl haunting grows worse, they turn to the church for help. Father Gordon, a kind but troubled priest, visits the house. He feels the evil presence immediately. He tries to bless the house, but his prayers only make the demon stronger. Objects crash around him and the smell of sulfur fills the air. Father Gordon is shaken. He tries to report the case to higher church officials, hoping for an official exorcism. But the church is slow to act, unsure if the Smurls are telling the truth. The demon plays with Father Gordon's mind. He begins to hear voices telling him he is weak and unworthy. One night, under the influence of the dark spirit, Father Gordon tragically takes his own life. Judy has a vision of his death before it happens. Horrified, she realizes she cannot sit back any longer. Without telling her parents, she decides to visit the Smurls herself to help. When Ed and Lorraine discover that Judy has gone to Pennsylvania, they rush after her. They know how dangerous this demon is, and they are terrified of losing their daughter. When they arrive at the Smurl house, they find Judy shaken but determined. She has already connected with the daughters, especially Heather, and feels responsible for helping them. The Warrens begin to investigate the house. Lorraine senses multiple spirits trapped inside, some of them innocent souls of people who once lived in the area. But she also feels a dark, controlling force, a demon that uses the mirror as a doorway between worlds. The demon feeds on fear, anger, and despair, and it especially loves tormenting children. The attacks inside the Smurl house become more violent. The demon throws people across rooms, slams doors shut, and whispers lies to make the family turn on each other. Janet hears a voice telling her that Jack is cheating. Jack hears a voice telling him Janet wants to leave. The daughters are attacked in their beds at night, with claw marks left on their arms. Judy is targeted the most. The demon sees her psychic gift and wants to break her. It whispers in her mind, showing her visions of her own death. One night, Judy is nearly possessed. Ed and Lorraine pull her back with prayers, but they realize the demon will not stop until it is destroyed. The climax of the film takes place in the attic, where the mirror has rooted itself like a cancer. The Warrens, Judy, Tony, and the Smurl family all gather to face the evil. Lorraine calls upon her visions and realizes the mirror holds not just spirits, but also fragments of every evil event connected to it. The demon is like a spider sitting in the middle of a web, feeding on all of them. During the battle, Ed collapses because of his weak heart. Judy, terrified, steps forward. She realizes that the gift she received at birth, the miracle that saved her life, was given for this moment. She prays out loud, calling on God's light to banish the darkness. The demon shrieks, trying to enter her body, but Lorraine and Ed hold her hands and give her strength. With a burst of faith and love, Judy smashes the mirror. Shards scatter everywhere, releasing the trapped spirits. The demon roars but is pulled back into the darkness. The house grows quiet. For the first time in years, the Smurls feel peace. After the battle, the Smurl family thanks the Warrens. Though shaken, they decide to stay in their home. For the next several years, they report no further hauntings. The broken pieces of the mirror are taken by the Warrens and locked away in their occult museum, so the demon can never escape again. Ed slowly recovers from his heart attack scare. Lorraine comforts him, reminding him that they have survived every trial because of their love and faith. Judy, though frightened by what she faced, feels stronger. She knows she cannot escape her gift, but she can choose how to use it. The film ends on a hopeful note. Judy marries Tony, and Ed proudly walks her down the aisle. Lorraine watches with tears in her eyes, remembering the day Judy was born and almost lost. She sees a vision of Judy's future, a life filled with love, not fear. Lorraine whispers that even though darkness will always exist, light is stronger. The Warrens return home, placing the mirror shards in their museum. As the camera lingers on the case, Ed and Lorraine hold hands. They know this may be their last great battle, but they are at peace. Their life's mission, to protect families from evil, has been fulfilled. The story of the Conjuring. Last Rites is more than just ghosts and demons. It is about the strength of family. The Warrens risk everything to save not only strangers, but also their own daughter. Judy learns that she cannot run away from her gifts, but must embrace them with courage. The Smurl family shows that even ordinary people can survive evil when they stick together. Above all, the movie stresses faith, the belief that goodness, prayer, and love can defeat darkness.